All right, we're live. Oh, and Marlene, it is being recorded, so this YouTube link you can share it if you want to, and then I'll have also an edited audio version.
Sounds good.
So,
And
yeah, Doug.
live from his basement somewhere in Fort Collins, Colorado, it's Stuart Yoshida and the OokTown Podcast. Stuart Yoshida and the OokTown Podcast. I hope he's recording this.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Let me check. Yeah, we've had that happen before, and yes, indeed, it is recording. Thank you, Doug. That was my co-host, Doug Brown of the Denver Ukulele Community, Duck. And so good to hear from you again, Doug. I know we've not been on the air for a little bit, and it's great to be back.
It is great to see you,
Especially,
Stuart.
yeah, I love your background there. Kind of nice, starry night, I think it looks like. All right, and I am excited because this time we have, on the show, we've talked so many times about the healing power of music and especially with the ukulele. So I am so happy and honored to have on our show Marlén, who is the CEO of the Ukulele Kids Club. Welcome. Aloha.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat with both of you.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to be invited to share some of ukulele that I know about. I was actually not a real lesson about playing ukulele per se, but it's about the history of the ukulele, and that was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love that class that you taught because oftentimes we don't really ever talk about the history of this awesome instrument, who's really, you talked about this in your class. It's the father of many other modern day instruments in Latin America and Hawaii. And it's wonderful to see how it's, just grown.
Yeah, it's a real a real traveler, and it is. And you guys, speaking of traveling, I want to get into that. So let's start off at the top. So why don't we just jump right in? And along the way, if you have other things you want to talk about, like special projects or links and everything, Doug is the man. He will grab them all, and that's why I love having him on the show. It's so
Awesome.
awesome. So the Ukulele Kids Club, and let's just start from the beginning because maybe there's a person out there that doesn't know about it. But tell us about the Ukulele Kids Club.
So the Ukulele Kids Club is a children's music nonprofit that aims to transform the lives of medically fragile kids through music. And we do that through donating ukuleles and supporting music therapy in a variety of different settings, from hospitals to treatment centers, and more recently to refugee shelters from children fleeing the Ukraine war.
Oh wow,
Basically, we're just trying to see where children are in need of support and how music through the ukulele can help them get that support.
wow, that's so cool. And you just mentioned something that it's where did it start off? By the way, where did the Ukulele Kids Club start? Was it in the U.S. or somewhere
Yeah,
abroad?
the Ukulele Kids Club started really in the U.S. in Florida, and it was the result of really a tragedy. Our founder's son, Jared, unexpectedly passed away from a viral infection, and
Mm,
our founder Corey, who had been a lifelong musician, the entire life, started volunteering at children's hospitals as a way to cope and give back. And
mm,
so, from this horrible tragedy that he experienced, he really had the wherewithal to say, I'm going to use music not only to cope with it myself, but to somehow give back to other people that may be experiencing similar situations. So he started going to hospitals in Florida where he was residing in. And he started interacting with the children through playing guitar, through playing music. And along the way, he met several music therapists that were employed by the hospitals. So
mm,
music therapy isn't super well understood by a lot of people because
mm,
we're a very small profession. So
mm,
once Corey found out that there were these people that were hired full time by the hospitals to provide music to the children, he just fell in love with the whole thing.
mm.
He started bringing guitars, and the kids would be like, "Oh, well, can I play your guitar? And then can I keep your guitar?" And as children are, they're very transparent about everything. So I think after like the third time of giving away the instrument that he brought, he said, "Why don't I just purchase a few ukuleles? They're portable, they're easy to learn, they're accessible. I'll purchase a
Right.
few ukes and bring them with me to the next hospital visit." And I think he started
Mm.
purchasing them on Amazon. He got a few donations from Kala at the time. And from there, it just kind of snowballed. He brought more and more ukes every time he came, and more people started to learn about it and request ukuleles for their hospital. And from there, it grew to now we have about 365 programs on our list that we habitually send donations to every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the other thing, well, there was so much there. The other thing is that it's become international now. Is that right?
Yeah, and just like it started with the US, we were incorporated in the US and we're still mainly operating in the US. But we get requests for support from around the world because luckily we live in a very globalized ukulele community and ukulele world. And so with our Ukraine program, for example, we received a
Mm-hmm.
request from the therapist that were working with the children directly in Poland.
Oh, how
And
cool.
so as an organization, we debated, how can we support these children? It's abroad. How do we make it all work? And our policy is really if we can, make it work and if we're going to be able to execute it properly, then we're going to try and help those kids wherever they are.
Yeah.
We do
Wow.
mostly operate in the US, but we will support children abroad as needed.
Wow. And one of the things you kind of mentioned, but that went by real fast, is that, there was a music therapist who he wasn't aware of. I think you said Corey. And so I'm assuming you are a music therapist. Is that correct?
I was
Or
one of those therapists that he met in the hospital.
oh, is that right?
Yeah, at the
Ah,
time, I think it was 2014. I met
wow.
Corey and the organization through being a therapist at the University of Miami's Cancer Center.
Oh,
And so
okay.
for many years, I was on the receiving end of the ukuleles and donating them to the kids I worked with.
Very cool.
And so I've been really with the UKC in many different capacities for many years, and I'm so
Oh,
proud.
okay. Well, this is a ukulele podcast and opinion show. However, I do want to delve in later on how we can use the ukuleles in our own lives, but we'll get to that later. Um, so now you guys are international, um, and I think you're residing in Querétaro now.
Yeah, I
Or
reside in Mexico, which I'm so impressed that you've been here before, right?
yeah.
That's
Hey, don't get me started. I have so many stories about there, or maybe you should, because it was a really great trip. Even though I did get Montezuma's revenge. Um, oh yeah, oh
part of
yeah.
the acclimation, man.
That's part of the experience, right? Our guide made sure that every restaurant gave us bottled water, right, that we went to. But I'm pretty sure one of the restaurants just brought bottles of water from the tap.
Well, now you can say you've had the full experience then.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, I live here. I moved here in 2018 with my family. And so the great thing about the UKC is that because we have no physical presence anywhere, all of our supporters, board
Mm,
members, volunteers are really spread out around the country and really the world.
mm-hmm.
So we can have that flexibility of, you can work from wherever, you can have an impact wherever.
Right.
Even though we are incorporated in Florida as a nonprofit.
Okay. Well, very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we will definitely put the website in our show notes because it's just great seeing all the kids, when you guys tweet out about kids receiving ukuleles and all of that. Um, so I think you already talked about what the programs and services. Um, is there anything, in particular you would want us as listeners to know about the programs, like maybe how they can get involved at a local level?
Yeah, I mean, there's many ways of getting involved depending on what you're interested in doing. So a lot of people reach out to us and say, hey, I have this massive ukulele collection from Ukulele Acquisition Syndrome, and I really don't need all of them. And some of the people donate.
Nice.
Yeah, some of them donate their ukes to us. Some of the higher end ones, they say you can feel free to auction this one because one high end ukulele turns into hundreds of
Right, right.
mini ukuleles for our kids. And so the average person reaches out to us for donations. Another way people reach out to us is to volunteer and to either volunteer like you did to teach a UKC Academy class or
Mm-hmm.
to maybe volunteer to visit one of our partner hospitals. Now, since the pandemic, we haven't been able to schedule any partner hospital visits because the hospitals, believe it or not, are still closed for visitors.
Oh, no kidding.
Around the world, from the UK to the US, they're really not receiving that many visitors.
I did not know that.
And so it makes sense, obviously, because they're still very
Yeah,
protective of the children. But
right.
that usually was one of the ways that we would also collaborate with the community. Like community groups would
Right.
reach out to one of the hospitals and say, hey, can we go perform for the kids? Some of them would say yes, some of them would say not at this time. But that's another way. And
Okay.
then, the traditional way is usually supporting in a traditional nonprofit way, making a donation, signing up to host an event, signing up to donate proceeds from whatever sale or whatever event you're having to the UKC. The thing is, I think people support us because they really see that when they support us, when they donate the uke, when they make the contribution, it goes immediately out the door to send a uke to a kid. And it's very rare that a nonprofit can do that they can say, your immediate donation is going to go to X amount of kids in this hospital. And I think that that's one of the things we're most proud of, that we have such an immediate impact.
Yeah, because, in some ways it's a really simple program. I mean, it's like the ukulele, and then you already have people, it sounds like, at the hospitals. Are there trained therapists at most hospitals or just certain ones? Yeah, I mean, what's the kind of mix right now?
Well, there's not music therapy at every single children's hospital or every hospital that's seeing kids. So that would be the end goal of music therapy as a field. But there are programs in the biggest hospitals around the country and around the world. Like any hospital who's really serving over 100 or, X amount of kids will most likely have child life, art therapy, music therapy, a variety of programming that's there to support the kids.
Oh, cool.
And so how we work, for example, just so people can understand, is that we partner with the music therapy program. We don't partner with the hospital at large.
Right, right.
We collaborate with the therapist who's actually seeing the children, but they're not our employee. They're the hospital employee. So because of that strategic partnership, we're able to say, Julia at Main Street Children's Hospitals will receive 10 ukuleles. And I know that Julia, throughout the next 2 months, will be donating them immediately. So it's not like they're getting sent to a closet somewhere in a children's hospital.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that works out great. I love that. I mean, I just, it's really cool how you guys have created this distributed network of, music therapists that, are basically on call. And then what you're providing are the ukuleles, and probably, I know, the support, like, you have the funding and you have the education. Now, is that education like open to those music therapists, or how does that work? Because you guys have.
The UKC at Home program that you volunteered for last year through UKC Academy is meant to provide continuing education to the kids. Once they leave the hospital with their brand new instrument, then they can log into our program to continue to receive classes.
Cool.
And then that program is really open to anybody. So we do have a fair amount of people from the uke community that sign up for the UKC Academy classes.
Okay, yeah.
When you taught your class, there was a fair amount of adults at the class. And so
Which I think is great too, because I wanted to get the word out, to everyone. Like, if you're using ukulele, just what the history is, because it is so, it's not local only to Hawaii. So anyway, sorry.
So, but that's basically the thing. The UKC at Home program is not restricted at this moment, but it will be in the future more tailored to the child experience. Because what we're trying to achieve is that the child, receives their instrument so they don't have the barrier to making music whenever they want to. But, it's not just about having an instrument on a wall. It's how do I use it? How do I name it? And it's also not just about learning how to play your chords or your notes, but it's like, what about the next step? How does it make me feel?
Yeah,
I use it when I feel overwhelmed.
Ooh, yeah, we're gonna want to get into that too. I just saw that you are partnering with Uketropolis. Is that right?
Yeah, we did a partnership with James last year when we really launched our UKC at Home program. And so the idea behind that is that he has such a wonderful catalog of ukulele on-demand classes.
Yes.
So he has the, intro to ukulele and the jazz ukulele and all of that. And because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, we figured, James, why don't we highlight some of your programs? And he gave our kids access to some of them for free. and then people can continue on the path of the James Hill method if they so choose.
Oh,
So the
nice.
partnership is really allowing them to access, I want to say, 4 courses. One of them
Hmm.
is a meditation course with the ukulele.
Oh, okay. Maybe I
Mhm.
better sign up for that course.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good one.
Yeah, it's
I
on the
do.
website.
Yeah. Do you, I mean, what do you, have you seen that course? Do you know what it's about? Because now I'm curious.
I think, he created it during the pandemic because he was utilizing the ukulele a lot for meditation and emotional regulation as we all were in
Yeah.
the pandemic. And so I
Yeah.
think he said, why not just put this down on paper and
Hmm.
have it as a course? So it's like a very short, on-demand course that's on the Uketropolis website now. And I think it's called Peace Like an Ukulele.
Okay.
So if
Peace
you
like an
Google it, you'll
ukulele.
be able to find it.
Oh, wow. Uh, yeah, so that kind of goes into the for us non-professionals who are not music specialists, music therapy specialists, how can we use the ukulele for self-care? You're kind of mentioning that. What is that? What was James doing, and what do you recommend people do?
I mean, the recommendation for how to use anything for your own well-being really depends on what you need, what you
Hmm.
need to address and how you can benefit from any kind of activity. So a recommendation for you would look different than a recommendation for Doug, for
Mm.
example.
Hmm. Hmm.
But typically, people utilize music making as a way to increase focus, to increase relaxation, to reduce stress and anxiety, to express themselves. And then oftentimes in our ukulele groups to connect with other people and create that sense of community. I don't
Hmm.
think people talk enough about how important having a real solid community is to your general well-being. And that's
Hmm.
one of my favorite things about the ukulele, that there's such a supportive and welcoming community that within itself is a wellness practice. You
Very
know,
cool. Well, Doug knows all about that because he is a leader of one of the ukulele communities. So Doug,
yeah.
yeah. So Doug, what are your thoughts on that, and where do you guys fit in?
Well, the well, like you said, during the pandemic, when everybody was going online, I, for my own sanity, was strumming with people all around the world, all like almost every day, multiple hours every day. Like it was kind of
Mm.
nutty. And then, but of course, once we all had to go back to work, um, the some of those clubs folded up, and some of them changed. And for example, I actually lead the Portland Ukulele Club online. They went
Uh-huh.
back to meeting in person, and I said, "Hey, what if?" And so it's called the Portland Ukulele Anarchy, and
I love that.
it's super fun. But I think that being able to have that community, and the a lot of people said, well, it's just not the same online, and it certainly
Mm.
isn't.
Mhm.
But I feel like any port in a storm, and now that we are back to meeting live, um, we actually added a second meeting a month, so that we could keep an online option for people that are home
Hmm.
out of state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology is definitely not there with replicating how it feels to play music in person versus online. And you were mentioning earlier about latency. The latency is always a huge issue when you're trying to all play
Oh, yeah.
a group. It's really cacophony. So I think once we're able to figure that out, we're going to see a lot more virtual group music making experiences.
I know a lot of people are trying to figure out that latency problem, and uh, Doug described it quite well. What did you say? It's like
A
a
bunch of
box of.
ukuleles falling down a flight of stairs.
That's it. That
Yeah.
is that is so true. Yeah, if we can figure that one out, that would really broaden the ability for communities to play together. Because basically right now it's like, okay, one person's going to lead, and all the rest of you, could you please mute?
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know what? During the pandemic, we also explored the same thing. All music therapists were looking into it. We were looking into it. I talked to our friends in the music industry, and they were basically saying, the performances that you see where the bassist is in Puerto Rico and the drummer is in
I
London,
know,
all of those things are pre-mixed, and they're
I
just
know,
playing the recording. They're really
I
not
know.
live.
I know. It's like, no, this is just movie magic basically. Yeah, but they are exploring those things. I've seen some attempts at that, and just none of them really. There's like, oh, you log in here, and we'll
Uh,
measure your latency, and we'll blah blah
Give
blah,
me
and
your
it's
credit
like,
card number. And
yeah, exactly.
actually, I think the guys in Boston have found a service that in that area they
mm.
get
Oh,
relatively low latency. Um,
okay.
cannot remember what it's called, but
There's one really good one that works, but just for two people. Like I've seen it for a pianist and a singer, and it's like a Zoom type thing that you log into, and it reduces both the latencies, and it works
Mm-hmm.
really well, but just for a duo. And as we know,
Hmm.
with the uke community, we want to play with like 35 ukers.
exactly.
Right. Right. So maybe we're not quite there yet.
We will be. I think it's a matter of time because, you that are such a history buff, this is how we're hardwired as a human race. We
Mm-hmm.
were gathered around the fire, making music together, sharing stories. Like this is never going to go away in our DNA. And so it's just going
Mm.
to evolve and change from, the tribe around the fire to the global community on Zoom. But the need to connect with people through music will never disappear. So that gives
Mm.
me a lot of happy thoughts, actually, a lot of hope.
Wow. Yeah. I just, the way you put it, I never thought of it. But yeah, we probably all gathered around the fire for safety and community, and now we have ukuleles to gather around in a circle.
Mm.
So Doug, how is the online going? Are you still doing that? And
Oh, every week. We actually just for Portland Ukulele Anarchy, we passed our 80th episode that we've done.
wow.
I also have a Sunday night uke jams in Sacramento. A fantastic club, and we actually every Sunday is a different host on that. So I
Hmm.
host one Sunday a month on that, and then we just recently lost uh, Jazz Ulele's from Australia. They are actually getting ready to go on tour, I think, and so and
Hmm.
it's one of those things we all accept that things
But
are.
then how does it work? Like, just does one person lead and then the rest are on mute and strumming along?
So for most of the clubs, what'll happen is that we'll have a sign up sheet online, and you say, well, I want to do. Well, you have it, and we really like themes. Although after 3 years of themes, we're getting pretty surreal in some of them. But and so you just you put down the song that you want to lead, and then everybody strums along with you. Especially with Portland Ukulele Anarchy, like you have some groups where they'll send out uh, PDFs of everything, and then some
Mm-hmm.
groups will share, and some groups will have you share your
Yeah.
um, Portland Ukulele Anarchy. We share it for you. So, but it's
Plug, shameless plug.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I do best. But it's one of those things that it's super fun, and I've made some really good friends all over the
Mm-hmm.
country and the world. And man,
So like I
great.
want to kind of like dive deeper into that because like a lot of the times and I've had to say this conversation so much with hospital executives who are deciding on budgets. Like music is fun, music is engaging. I make so many good friends, but we want to go like a layer deeper than that cuz like you keep coming to this group 3+ years. You're
Yeah,
not getting paid for this. You're
yeah.
investing time and energy. So it's not just that about the fun part of it. Like, what do you think else is driving your desire to continue to show up every day or every week?
Well, I mean, certainly uh, I have had these people have been there for me for when my wife was diagnosed with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things that happened during the pandemic, everybody being worried about their jobs, and and so it's mainly about playing the music, but then we also you get to know all of these people, and and I think too, like you feel so, especially during the pandemic, everybody felt so isolated,
Mm.
so my wife was diagnosed like on the eve of the pandemic. So all the way through the pandemic, we were going right to where all the sick people were.
Oh,
Mm.
Um,
so
and
hard for that.
she actually self isolated in our bedroom, and I got to sleep on the couch. I mean, like happy to do it,
Mm.
but it was
Mhm.
really strange being in the house with my wife and not being with her.
Mhm.
And so being able to spend, well, and at the worst part of it, I think, well, we had one day like a special event where we did 24 hours of ukuleleing, um, and it just went from host to host to host.
Really? Oh, that is. When
Marathon.
did you do that?
Oh, it was a couple of years ago, but
Oh, wow.
Pandemic Pluckers, which is a
Oh,
no,
oh, I know them. Yeah, and so they started it, and then you just kind of they organized somehow to do 24 hours of ukulele.
well, our good friend Mandy
Yeah, yeah.
was the like she was there for all of it. I'm relatively I made it through like 22, 20.
Wow. Okay, you're a trooper.
There was a chunk there at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I gotta go
Yeah.
to
Just
sleep.
dozed off on the side.
But
But,
then,
you're illustrating like exactly the point of all this. Like we do crazy things for this instrument and for this community that if you think about it, you're like, why? Like, why do you guys do this? And
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get at is that it's just such our core part of our humanity. And it gives
Mm-hmm.
us such a sense of connection and rejuvenation
exactly.
that it's a really important part of our wellness plan. But we just don't call it that. We call it fun and I'm making friends. But that in
Mm-hmm.
itself is wellness. It's stress
Mm-hmm.
relief, it's anxiety relief.
Mm-hmm.
Like that sense of community that you feel with that group, that could probably do more for you than 1,000 lectures on how to reduce your stress. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Exactly.
There's
Mm-hmm.
certain
Oh
things that
yeah.
are just innate in who we are as human beings that in our modern day times we tend to suppress as just fun or just a hobby, but we don't realize that they're actually serving a real health purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, it's in your name, right, Doug? The Denver ukulele community, right? It's not just, Denver ukulele players per se, but I don't know if you did that intentionally or not, but that's cool. It's a community, and you guys have well, oh my gosh, how long have you guys been? At least 10 years,
Uh,
right?
oh well, I've actually been president for at least 10 years. I think I've been president for 12 years, and then
Mm-hmm.
the group is well, I think they were think we were founded in 2004. Um,
Mm.
but yeah,
2004?
we've been around for a
Wow.
while.
Yeah.
We 20th year next year. Next year, right? The 20th.
Oh gosh, is it?
Yeah.
Ah, the yeah,
Yeah.
it has been well, and that's another one of those things where the the Denver Ute community, uh, I hosted some meetings where there were 3 people and had just
Mm-hmm.
a wonderful time, and then I've hosted meetings where we've had, I think our record is 87, um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a different experience, but still super fun.
Right.
And
Yeah.
all the way through the pandemic, um, we had between probably 20 and 40 people, the third Saturday of the month coming in, eh, from all the way over in Australia. My good friend Jock would wake up
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
2 o'clock in
Wow.
the morning to come and play ukulele with us.
Brr.
Jock, you
Now
are
that
See
you see,
that?
that would be one of my visions for the UKC, that we could replicate that experience, but in the kid community, like to say, hey, you
Mm-hmm.
have your uke now. Go to your local community center and join their uke.
Right.
How cute would that be?
oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's kids groups out there, but I really don't know about that many that are happening
Yeah.
in person outside of classes.
Right.
And it's funny. I think that especially smaller kids, it becomes difficult to
Yeah.
get everybody. I've substitute taught there we go, um, at Swallow Hill Music here in Denver, and which is always like having the gym teacher come in and show movies because they have such amazing musicians, and I am a guy that really I love to play music and sing and have a good time, and doing, knowing why you're doing what you're doing is not something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about. Uh, but I saw a 7-year-old once take the solid koa kamaka um, and put it on its headstock.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And so this is why we donate, starter ukes. We manufacture them.
Yeah.
We don't donate the high end one because,
Hmm.
that's part of like developing a relationship with your instrument when you're 7. When
Yeah.
you're
Right.
7, you want to see what it can and can't do. You know how many times my children have broken the headstock and I'm reaching out to Jay Lichty, like a world-renowned luthier, like, Jay, should I fix it? He's like, no, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Just let it die, and that's it. But people do great things like that. I tell the therapist and the donors often, these ukes are meant to be beat up. A beat up
Hmm.
uke is a
There you
love
go.
for a kid.
There
Well,
you go.
this kala, um, I have actually had for 16 years. Well, but longer than that. But all of the kids when they were in uh, uh, preschool, I would go and volunteer and come and sing funny songs, and
Mm,
so all 3 of my kids have played this specific ukulele and
that's good.
Mm.
drug it around and banged it into things, and that's I think the real secret. I think you really have it there that they're meant to be uh, like
Use.
used exactly.
Hmm.
And I mean, you take a look at Trigger, the Willie Nelson's guitar, like
Right. With
you
the hole in it.
yeah. Um, but that's I have some ukes that are worth a little bit of money, but I mean honestly, I don't play those as often as I
That is 100% true. I play my beaters more than I ever play the fancy one.
Hmm. No, no, and even the quote fancy one that I have, I just keep playing and playing, and it's getting beat up. I mean, the luthier who made it, I brought it back to him once. I said, yeah, can you refinish that? And he looked at it and goes, oh, wow, because it had rubbed off here and there, nicks everywhere. I'm like, hey, it's been loved.
I know. It's great. I mean, that's the whole point of it. And so with the donating the instrument to the kid was really kind of a game changer for me as a therapist, because as a
Hmm.
therapist, I have my inventory of instruments that I take from room to room.
Right.
And it's very rare that I get to give anything to the kids, because as soon as you
Mm,
give one thing to a kid, you know how it is.
mm.
Can I have that? And 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 so you can't just donate every single instrument you have. But when I would tell the kid, by the way, this one is yours to keep, oh my God, it was the best day of their life. Their face would light up. They just couldn't believe it. Until this day, every single time we give a uke, there's rarely a kid that's like, ew. Like they love it so much. And they get so incredibly happy. So that's really
Yeah.
why we post so many of those pictures, because we really want people to see the joy that that moment creates.
Wow.
It's so cute.
That's pretty amazing. And you never know where. I think one of the things about the ukulele is that, you can play it and you can learn it, and then you can put it away, and then you can bring it back when you
Mhm.
need it, and it's I don't know, easy to get back in the saddle with it. I'm not sure. So that seems to be one of the advantages of it.
I do think that it's an instrument that can grow with you. Like you can make it as simple or as
Right.
complex as you want. And
Yeah.
the instrument that we give is also good enough quality, like it holds
Right.
tune and it sounds good, that it can grow into the teen years and into
Exactly.
the adult years. So
Right.
that's important too.
Right. Although one recommendation is when you start playing it, do not go and see Jake Shimabukuro right away, because then you'll
No.
be really.
Or do, you never know. Some people may
You
do.
never know. I was greatly shocked, amazed, and discouraged after I saw Jake the first time.
All at the
We're
same time.
all at the same time, because you're going, wow. How does he do that? I think I'm going to burn my ukulele.
Well, one of the things. So my daughter, who's 19, just moved to Oregon,
Oh,
and
she did.
oh yes, she's
Oh
been out there
man.
almost a year now, and
Oh, maybe you told me that.
doing just really really well. And
Excellent.
all three kids, of course, got a ukulele. Well, I mean,
A
part of
package.
got a ukulele. They I only own two, but all the children
Right.
3 or 4, and my wife owns 7, and I think the pets own.
On the books, I only have two.
Which is why I'm going to stop being a stagehand and going into accounting. But the uh, but all of the kids, constantly surrounded by ukulele, uh, growing up. And actually, when they went to school for the first time, they said, "Dad, they don't tell jokes or do magic tricks or play ukulele all the time. What
I
you
know. I
set
know.
up for us that you're, this." But but all of them kind of, once they got out of elementary school, they didn't play very much. But Tavy has started coming to uke jams, and she is kind of famous for. Somebody was asking what Rick rolling was, and she kind of explained it. And then a little while later,
Let me tell you.
she said, "Well, so coming up, Elvis, a big influence on me, and we're all gonna do Can't Help Falling in Love with You." And the music for that came up, and she's like, "Never gonna leave you." Oh,
That's Rick rolling.
great! And she's like, "That's
It's
it,
not
right
been
there."
Rick Roll. That's
Uh,
so great. But you know what? It's also like a great thing because she moved to a new city and she could create an immediate community through the uke. Like, name
mhm.
one other thing that you can do that with. What? Maybe yoga
Yeah.
classes or something like that?
No, although coming in second is food because I'm thinking of seriously Querétaro, oh my gosh. I was when we stayed at the orphanage up there, they would make us fresh orange juice every day and I don't know what, but it was just, I love
Flavors. My God, the flavors to it.
yeah. Did you grow up in
No,
Mexico?
no, I'm from Dominican Republic in the Caribbean.
Okay, all
And then
right.
my husband is American but Mexican. And so we met up
Oh,
in Boston when we were both going to school there.
hmm.
So I went to Berkeley for music therapy, and then
Oh
he
wow.
he went to culinary school, and we met up there.
Cool. Well,
Mhm.
what a awesome story. So now you're uh in Querétaro and I mean just everything there was just, you know, so eye-opening for me, the
Yeah.
gringo.
And with the orphanage, like we have actually started a few programs with the ukulele in Querétaro, and here there's not a lot of music therapy in the hospitals.
Oh,
So it
really?
does
Okay.
look more like orphanage programs, or
Mm.
we have this really amazing partnership with a nonprofit called In the Stoplight We Learn, en el semáforo se aprende. And their mission is to bring the education that the kids need to the stoplights as they're with their parents panhandling or selling things.
Mm.
And so they, as the parents are selling things to the
Oh,
cars, they
wow.
pull the kids aside and they do the regular education program so they can not miss out on
Oh,
school.
how cool is that?
And so I learned from them for, just as a resident here. And then I'm like, why don't we do a music program? I'll
Ah,
provide the ukuleles, you guys do the music program, and they've incorporated into their lessons.
very cool. That
And
is
so
awesome.
that's one of the environments that I was mentioning earlier, that we're mostly known for our hospital work, but we're not going to turn away programs like that are really changing the lives of kids because they're not in the hospital. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow. That's very cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's such great things. That's very creative coming
Yeah.
up with that idea. I love it. I love the people there in Querétaro, and they were very welcoming and understanding. After I got sick there, I don't know why, but the host, he's he's from Colorado, and but he insisted, even though I was still sick, oh, you got to go to this program at the orphanage. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went there, but I was so sick, I just laid down on a bench, and this little kid comes up to me and he goes, what did he say? ¿Estás listo? I think he said, or something. What is it? Are you sick? Basically, he asked. I go, sí, estoy. Oh, but so cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it there. Um, Hey, I'm going to go on a tangent a little bit. I'm going to take a break, just because speaking of longevity, one of my students, I'm going to promote her. She just released this Ferocious Fleas CD that she made with like a half dozen other people. And they recorded at Swallow Hill, by the way. You know, Brian Hunter, I'm sure. Doug? Yeah, he recorded this. So proud. I mean, she was so happy for her. But you know, it's awesome that if you can teach someone the ukulele, they go off. And I taught Debbie for a while, and I showed her, you know, how to do chord melody, and then she went off. And the next thing I know, a couple years later, she sent me an arrangement of Linus and Lucy, and I was like, "Wow, holy moly, that's amazing!" So now she's got this out. So good on you, Debbie. Love it.
Congrats,
Um,
Debbie. You're living the dream.
there you go. Very cool. Um, and then I had something for Doug. This is kind of a tangent. Speaking of Mexican food, I heard that Casa Bonita was bought by the creators of South Park. Is that true?
That is true, and there it is going to open up next month.
No
Ugh.
kidding.
Yes,
Do
indeed.
you do you so Marlene, are you familiar with South Park? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, but what is Casa Bonita?
Oh, so South Park takes place in South Park, which is a real
Uh-huh.
place.
In
But
Colorado.
yeah,
Yeah.
in Colorado. But then uh, there is one episode specifically where they come to Denver and they go to Casa. Like the idea is to go to Casa Bonita, which is a themed restaurant from the '70s, where like there's a 30-foot waterfall and they have cliff divers and they have mariachi bands and they have a gorilla that comes down and fights with an African explorer and I worked there in the '90s as a close-up magician when I was in college, and
Amazing.
had a fantastic time. Like it didn't make any money, but had just
You didn't?
oh
What did they feed you?
no.
At least, hopefully.
Well, and
Well,
the things
yeah.
that a local knows is that you don't eat at Casa Bonita because the food was just awful. But that is one of the things that the South Park guys said that they're going
Yeah, they're gonna change that, right? Aren't they bringing in an executive chef or something?
uh, yeah, they have specifically talked about how the food is going to be a lot better.
Was this the episode where like J Lo was like the mouth and it was the J Lo mouth?
I don't know if that was the same episode, but like he had but out of anybody, I would think that the South Park guys would get what like there's a certain feel there at Cat,
Mm-hmm.
and it's I would think that if anybody would get it, it would be those guys.
Oh, man. I hope they turn it into like amazing Tex-Mex or even authentic.
Right, right. Yeah, because yeah, it was like cafeteria style Mexican food, I think. Is that a good way to describe it, Doug?
It was just bad, and
Peanut butter.
yeah, it was just yeah. Well, I think I can remember 3 meals that I ate there. But they also had these amazing sopapillas that everybody
Yeah,
all the
that's
time. So you didn't really need
right.
any food.
Right. That's the one thing. The sopapillas were good. That sugar high was awesome with the the sopapilla. Yeah, and when Aldrin Guerrero came to Denver, that was one of the first places he went to. So
There you go.
because
The celebrity
he
hangout.
yeah, he had to go there. We're like, really? Oh my gosh. Casa Bonita. Or how did you say it? I'm sorry. I'm saying it
Me?
w-
That's not
no,
what.
no, I'm talking Doug. Doug says it correctly for Colorado or
What?
Denverites.
That's
Casa Bonita. No, no, I can't even say it. I gotta say Casa Bonita. But
We have 3 different pronunciations going on for this one place.
people will know where it is.
yeah, it's that place in Denver. Um,
All right.
but
Well, now I have a new bucket list item for my life. I have to go to Casa Bonita.
Yeah, when you come to Denver, definitely. Although now you won't. Well, no, they're still gonna have. They're not. They're bringing back. You said the cliff divers and everything, right?
oh, I'm sure that's it is. I've seen some interviews with the boys, and they are super excited about it. I've also heard that it is
Wow.
far more expensive than they ever thought that it was going to be. But,
To renovate a restaurant, yeah.
yeah, but it is a really fun place, and and boy,
Yeah.
I have just such amazing memories of it.
That is so incredible. Yeah, and the fact that you were a close-up musician, a musician, close-up.
Both magician, musician.
All right, that's the title, close-up musician.
Yes, because I don't play far away from people.
But close-up magician, which,
Who's
yeah.
having trouble with their pronunciation now?
Doug, you must have just loved it when in Ant-Man they had close-up magic. I
Oh,
mean, was that?
Okay, to not to get too far off on this tangent, but the last like 10 years has been an amazing time to be a magician and a ukulele player, and just because of the America's Got Talent and Britain's Got Talent, all of a sudden all of these magicians are coming up out of everywhere, and so it is well. And two, one of the things. As a magician, of course, the idea is you never tell the secret of how to do the trick, and and it was never that big of a thing to me. But the idea that now it really is about the storytelling of doing a magic trick, because anybody, like, you could go see something on America's Got Talent and go and figure out in 15 minutes of YouTube how it's done. So
Yeah.
it's the secret of how it's done. It's the trying to tell a story with it, and
Performance of it all.
and give you that moment, the moment of surprise and amazement, like the My Cousin Vinny, the movie about the lawyer, with
Right.
Pesci. Like they made a big deal about how he went to a magic show and went, oh, I see that, and I see you're holding something behind your back or this and that, and at the end of the day, the only person he's pulling out of the not getting the deal was himself, because the idea is to get in the moment and be surprised and amazed, and yeah, but now we are way off the.
Oh, that's
Well,
fine. Now
no,
we
wait,
have to.
wait. Before we move away from magic, have you ever been to the castle in LA?
So
I have stories of the castle.
all of the so my twin brother lives in LA, and when and there was one vacation where it was the most amazing vacation ever. We got off the plane and went to the Magic Castle, and my long suffering brother had to sit through like 4 or 5 hours of magic shows. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then we went to a ukulele fest, which this was before he played ukulele, so he got to sit through a day of, oh, this is amazing. And then we went to Disneyland, and it was amazing. And
Living the dream, Doug. Living the dream.
That's
Hey,
love, right
so
there.
have you been to the Magic Castle?
No, I haven't been. Have you been, Stuart?
no.
If you
Maybe
get
that's
the chance. Well, and here's the thing: is that you have to have.
You have to have a membership.
Yeah, well, a member has to invite you.
Oh, really? So how'd you get in?
Dave's
Are you a member?
friend knew somebody. Like, it was really involved.
Like the mafia.
I never thought that I would be able to go. And we saw there's a guy named Shutagawa who is one of my favorite magicians in the world. And we just
Really?
to go on a night where he was there. Oh, the guy is just. Oh.
Doug obviously has lots of support communities, so he should be a very healthy person.
He does. He's very connected, which is amazing. I wish I knew half as many people as Doug. Before we leave this, I heard that Paul Rudd actually learned close-up magic. Is that right?
Yes, and he is not too bad. Well,
He was great. I was like, whoa.
well, it's one of those things where there have been some. Once again, we're way off
It's all
topic.
right. No, this is
There
all
is no
connected.
topic.
It's all
This is all
connected.
important.
But whoop, 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 there, that.
Oh,
Uh,
that's fun, actually.
but yeah, exactly. But there have been several movies like the Prestige and
Hmm.
you know, where it's like wow, or uh, Now You See Me is the other one that came out a couple of years ago, and
Mhm.
all of them had some elements of sleight of hand in it, but when push came to shove, it's like oh we'll just do that through editing and
Yeah.
Right.
um,
CGI and whatever. Yeah.
yeah, the stuff that Paul Rudd was doing is just practice and just
Right.
I remember
Yeah.
one called The Illusionist with Edward Norton.
yeah, oh
He was
yeah, and that had less
yeah.
CGI than some other ones.
Mm.
It still had there were a couple ones where it's like, come on now. Oh, my dad. Speaking of that, and now we're way off. Um, he sent me this Britain's Got Talent clip and of a guy doing a disappearing act, and it took me about three times to realize that it wasn't a real clip, that he had cut together reactions from the judges and was doing like a green screen thing. But it's much like and I've told Stuart this before. I still get people that will send me like Jake Shimabukuro playing while
Oh,
the guitar
yeah.
gently weeps. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I thank every single one of them because they cared enough about me to say
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure.
I felt was beautiful, and I'm going to send this to you. And
Right.
especially Dad sending me some kind of magic geekery and about
You
it.
get all of those, and I get all the here's the cute kid with the ukulele, and I appreciate every single one of them. I have
There
so
you
many
go.
of
There
kids,
you go.
and it's
See,
like,
now we brought it back. We brought it back,
Yeah,
folks. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
uh, uh, uh.
No,
I'll practice that later.
awesome. Oh, let's see. Do I have any let's see what programs so what are some things for your goals for this coming year or maybe the next 5 years for the UKC? What do you have in mind?
Well, we already mentioned my big, hairy, audacious goal, which is to have like little youth communities per
Mm.
state or per our biggest areas that the kids can like go home, take their uke, and then, oh, there's a uke jam every Friday at the community center, and I'm going to show up. And that can
Wonderful.
be facilitated by us or facilitated by one of the, Denver youth community. This is my official call to sponsor or to partner to say, hey, let's create a kids jam session. UKC will support, Denver youth community will run it, and it'll be a great time for all.
Wow, Doug, you're already signed up for that. That's
You signed
awesome. You signed them up. That was very tricky, Marlén.
I know, and I'm expecting follow through done. But anyway, like that's our big kind of like we want kids to be supported in different ways. But how we're doing that in the immediate, year is continuing our UKC at home program, adding more classes, more teachers. We were fortunate enough to receive a grant from Sony Music Group for their social justice
Oh,
award program, and we're
really?
utilizing it to creating more classes for UKC Academy in 2023.
Oh, very cool. All right. So speaking of awards, what was that? Didn't you guys just get an Emmy?
We did also just win an Emmy, and if I had it with me, I would show you.
Oh
We won
man.
an Emmy for our 10,000th ukulele donation video, which was a video featuring Charlotte, who is a patient at Cardinal Glennon's Children's Hospital in St. Louis.
Hmm.
And so
Wow.
her story and how she utilized the uke, along with her mom, Callie, who's on our board of directors. We really just documented it in collaboration with the hospital just because we wanted to celebrate the 10,000th uke donation.
Hmm.
And we didn't really even think that it would go anywhere beyond that. And then what the production team didn't tell us that they submitted it for consideration for the Emmys. And I
Wow.
think that that's just part of their MO. Like they make a video, they submit it. If it gets chosen, it gets chosen. And it was nominated, and we all went to the ceremony. We took Callie, we took Angel, her husband, and Charlotte, and we ended up winning. And so it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man. So does that Emmy get to kind of circulate among
It
the
really is.
UKC?
I think, yes, this year we're definitely going to be traveling with it and taking it around to people.
That's very cool. Well, those are some great goals.
Mhm.
So yeah, you'll have to follow up, come back on the show and see how the Denver ukulele community is doing with that.
Yeah,
I,
we'll see
I
if
think
they.
that I bet I mean I know that the oh, what did you guys do? Did you during the pandemic or post-pandemic? Did you guys go to different senior groups or what was doing? Maybe it wasn't you.
Uh, so we have done that in the past with senior homes. We've also there is an offshoot of the Denver Ute community called the Denver Ute Jammers, and they
Mm.
practice every week, and they go to memory care facilities, and
Oh, very
Oh,
cool.
that's wonderful.
yeah, they do some great things.
And
Wow.
that's the great thing about like the uke and music, that it's really from birth to death. Like music is there
Mm-hmm.
with you along the lifespan, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs it. There's not one time in your life where you need
Right.
music more or less. It just
Mm-hmm.
changes in the way that it helps you.
Yeah, and I've heard some great things about the memory care where,
Yeah,
unresponsive patient people there who are, exposed to music, all of a sudden they'll start responding or playing, singing along and things like that. That's just
that goes
incredible.
back to how, the neurology of music, how music is coded in our brain as we learn.
Mm-hmm.
The songs that
Mm-hmm.
you learn in your youth or in your teen years become such a formative part of who you are. That
Yeah.
will happen to you. Like if when you're 95 and somebody plays a song from your 20s, watch it happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it already
Right.
happens to me now, and I'm only 37. Like you're transported back in time. You immediately remember all the lyrics, and
Hmm.
that's just such a hard wiring in your brain.
Hmm.
It just means that it's really integral to our survival as a human species.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I still listen to songs from the 70s when I was growing up and,
Mm.
you know, yep, takes you
Uh,
back.
I'm sorry, could you go back and repeat all that? I was busy watching Paul Rudd do magic tricks on. Actually, let's move on. Let's move
All
on.
right. Okay, but put a link to Ant-Man in the show notes. Which that was the first Ant-Man, right? Where he did the
The
close-up magic.
second one because he's
Oh, second one. Oh, right, right. He's
Okay.
incarcerated. That's
but
right.
Yeah.
but yes, and I have a clip in the show notes that has just the magic parts of
Yes,
Ant
yes.
Two, um,
Perfect.
which unfortunately not a lot of sleight of hand in Quantumania, but uh,
Oh, did you go see it already?
I did.
Oh, you
Of course
dog,
you did.
Doug. Of course you did.
Of course, I did. Kai Holton Brown went with
Oh
me
my God.
because
Oh,
she's
great.
awesome. But
Awesome.
yeah,
And
Michael Douglas is in this new one.
who
I'm
is?
sorry.
Michael Douglas.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer yeah, he's the original Ant-Man.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I need to
Uh-huh.
watch.
He plays the original Ant-Man. If you're a Marvel comic fan, Hank Pym was the original Ant-Man, and then in the MCU they changed it to this criminal who tries to anyway. I shouldn't give it away unless if someone's gonna watch the
and
It's-
I
Ant-Man.
I'll give
would
it a
like to bring back that Stuart always accuses me of getting us off track, and
Oh, right, right. No,
all about Stuart
it's
because
just
I'm
rubbing off.
here to do the business, and
You know how
Yes, you
in football in the World Cup they like time how much possession each team has. We should time
right.
this with like how tangent or off tangent.
I know. Oh,
that would be awesome. Well, yeah. So I'll have Dave go back and start at the beginning and
time it.
The stopwatch.
assign yardage per participant and how many
Right.
time off of the main
Yeah.
theme we got.
Yeah, time of possession. Well, I'll have to say that I thought this show was very well front loaded. So I think we got all the important information done up front. And so, we could take a break in the middle. I think we went in good places though. And yeah, maybe Doug, you're just rubbing off on me. All right. I think we've covered it really. You talked about the UKC at home. Yeah, anytime you want to bring me back, just let me know, Marlene.
Yeah.
I'd
Awesome.
love to do that. So, all you ukulele communities out there, be prepared. Know that the ukulele communities out there, you're doing good things for your mental health. So, that's
Mhm.
all good.
Keep doing it.
Yeah. And I think that anything else you want to talk about, Marlene?
Now, this is our 10th year of operations, so there's
Oh,
going to be
that's
lots of
great.
fun in-person events. We're planning a
Wow.
wonderful Broadway fundraiser in person in New York. So if anybody wants to come see some wonderful Broadway performers and support the UKC, plan to go to New York around May 8th, and you'll be seeing
Wow.
about that.
I'm,
And we're also planning some really fun things with, I may not be able to disclose, but one of our favorite instrument manufacturers will be making a wonderful contribution to support our Ukuleles for Ukraine initiative.
oh, that is awesome.
You know, the war is still ongoing and those children still
Mm.
need support. So we're definitely planning on continuing that.
What I'm so impressed with the UKC is that how many people just jump in and support it with their time and their talents and donations. I mean, just all these. Basically, every ukulele player you've ever heard of has seems to been involved with it. Jake, Kimo Hussey, James Hill. And
And that just speaks to their amazingness, not necessarily the organizations. Like they're so open and willing to just say yes to all these things. You can't
mm,
really say that easily for other musician communities.
mm,
You know what I
that's
mean? So that's another nod
yeah,
to the UK, to the ukulele community.
yeah, that is very cool. Wow. Awesome. Well, we'll wait. We'll stand by to hear from the announcement on that. I'm sure that's going to be very cool. And I remember, like way back, I don't know how many years ago, Doug. We got at least I was contacted by. Oh, it was probably maybe Corey or someone because they were auctioning off some ukuleles from luthiers. Oh, what was that called?
Yeah, we still have that going on. Luthiers for a Cause.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Luthiers for a Cause was amazing because it included Steve Grimes and Jay and Yoshi and like a lot of wonderful
Yeah.
um, luthiers that each made an ukulele from the same wood, from the same tree.
Right.
And that
Right.
was in 2017, and those 6 ukuleles were sold off.
Yes, that's it.
Last
That's the one.
year, we brought back Luthiers for a Cause with guitars. So it was
Ah.
4 guitars. Steve Grimes made an asymmetrical parlor, which was amazing. Ben
Mm.
Wilborn made a huge baritone. Jay Lichty and Peter Robson made like ohm guitars and an SJ guitar, respectively.
Hmm.
2 of them have sold. The Steve Grimes and the Ben Wilborn sold, and we still have the Jay Lichty and the Peter Robson available. So if you go
Cool.
to luthiersforacause.org, you should be able to see more info about these awesome guitars.
And
Okay.
that link is in the show notes.
Nice.
There you go. Produced. But yeah, that's
Doug,
a really wonderful initiative as well.
so cool. All right. Well, that about wraps it up, I think. Doug, what do you got going for you, the ukulele community there in your neck of the woods?
Well, we've got a huge reason to come to the May meeting, live meeting of the Denver Youth community, because they are going to tell me all about the lineup
Oh,
for the March meeting, because they're going to tell me about the lineup for the May Uke Fest.
yeah.
I'm super excited about it, and I actually told them don't tell me anything about it until
Right,
the day before
right.
the meeting.
Because you really kept that secret about Jake Shimabukuro
Yeah.
On under wraps.
Well, that's my thing is I've told everybody I don't keep secrets because it's too much work. I just
Don't tell me. I will tell everybody. That's my problem too.
yeah. Well, I think it's very freeing when you say, "Hey, listen, I don't keep secrets, so don't
Don't tell me. And they tell you.
tell you." So
I don't know why they told you. Yeah.
the but yes, I'm super excited for the Youth Fest this year. That should
Very
be cool.
cool.
And yeah, that's oh, and uh, uh, Masters of Hawaiian Music
Right.
is coming back to Swallow Hill, and Alan is putting together some tutorial or some private lessons with all of them, and
I saw that. Yeah.
is going to be super fantastic. And links
Right.
to that will be in the show notes.
Right. So yes, some really very amazing old school plus Herb Ota Jr. I think is going to be there. Is that right? I think so.
Yes, and he was at UFest a couple of years ago and just unbelievable.
Mm. Ah, I missed
It's
that
gonna be a good
one.
year, guys. 2023 is gonna be amazing.
I hope so because we certainly deserve it after the past couple years of pandemic, you know. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a wrap, I think, folks. So thank you so much, Marlene. Wonderful to have you.
You guys.
So great. How's your kid? Doing better, I hope, and all
Yeah,
good?
everything's good. Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Excellent.
you
All
so
right.
much, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. And maybe we should revisit all of our conversations in a few months when we can make bigger announcements together.
All right. Well, we'll look into that. I would love that. Okay.
Uh,
So as we do on the show, what we do, Marlene, is I count to three and we say aloha. So that is the tradition. Are you on board with that? Can you?
I'm on board with that.
All right. Here we go. One, two, three. Aloha. All right.
Following your.
Awesome.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Hi, Stuart.